Hello, BookTube. Well, it's the 1st of June, and that means a whole bunch of BookTube events launching today. I'm talking about four of them today. Two of them extend all summer long. Summer of Sport, all about sports literature, fiction and nonfiction, and Book Trek, all about Star Trek, fiction and nonfiction, all summer long. So a nice, relaxed schedule for both of those, where you just have to pick up a book this summer and read it on a subject connected with the event. And then there are two that are specific to June. One is huge and very popular, June on the Range, created by Michael K. Vaughan, where we read westerns all throughout the month of June. But another one is brand new, created by Sean D. Standfast, Dune in June, where we're reading or rereading Frank Herbert's Dune in the month of June. And a lot of you who've been in contact with me about Dune in June have mentioned that you have never read the book before, that it's been on your shelf staring at you or on your TBR or on your Kindle. You know the renown that it's held in. It is widely regarded as one of the greatest science fiction novels ever written. I myself think it is the greatest science fiction novel ever written. It's in everybody's top 10. It's been filmed a number of times. Probably those of you who have not read it, maybe some of that is preying on your mind. You're thinking, this might be a little much. To that end, I've made a couple of videos. I made a primer video about Dune describing the premise of the book. No spoilers, just telling you where you need to be in order to start reading it. The story that you are coming in on. Now, that is not meant as a criticism of Frank Herbert. He brings you up to speed. But I thought it might help if maybe you were brought up to speed ahead of time, so that when he's bringing you up to speed, you feel a little bit up to speed. And a lot of you have emailed me and said that you really appreciated that video, that it really helped a lot to clarify things and make this less intimidating. Frank Herbert did not intend this book to be intimidating. And if you find it intimidating and that stops you from reading it, you are missing out on so much fun. It's such a good book. I thought that primer video was appropriate to lay out what the story is, what's going on the first page of this book. And then I made a second primer video about the cast, the core cast of characters. It's actually a small and manageable cast. There are tons and tons of minor bit players, but there's a small, manageable cast to start the book. You're going to know all these people. You're going to get to know them, but you're going to be introduced to them as if you already do know them, and that can be off-putting to some readers. It can be intimidating to some people, and I don't want you to miss an opportunity to read or reread Dune in the great company that we have assembled for this event. We have a bunch of great people co-hosting this event. So I made those two videos. And I wanted to make this video commemorating, officially announcing that Dune in June has started. We are reading Dune for the month of June. So the first week will be the first part of Dune, which is called Dune. Then the second part for the second week is called Muad'Dib. Then the third part is called The Prophet. And then the fourth week, I think we'll be dealing with movie and TV adaptations of this book. Also, I will probably be dealing again with the appendices. There are appendices at the end of the book. They're not very long, but I tend to mind them for what they're worth when I'm discussing this book, because they are there, and first-time readers are going to wonder why they're there. I would have argued, if I had been in consultation with Frank Herbert before he got this book published, I would have told him to take them out. They make the book like a work of scholarship. They will dissuade readers. They will dissuade first-time readers. Fans of the Dune universe, and there are lots of them, love the appendices. Just eat them up. But you're not writing a book for fans. You're writing a book for first-time readers. And seeing appendices, but I will probably be doing talking about them at the end of the month. But for the beginning, what we're dealing with here for this first week is the first part of Dune, which is called Dune, in which the Atreides household moves from Caladan to Dune to take over the fiefdom there and the mining of spice, the spice melange. This change has been ordered by the Emperor. It has been carefully orchestrated by powers that be behind the scenes. The Harkonnens are the bad guys. They are thugs. They are brutal. They are murderers. They are oppressors of the native people of Dune, of the planet known as Dune. And they're the lifelong enemies of the Atreides. So the leader of House Atreides, Duke Leto, knows he's walking into a trap. This is not going to be a clean and easy thing at all. But there's another element involved. There's a boy in the story. Duke Leto has a teenage son, Paul, who is his heir, and who has been raised in not only the methods of warfare that are part of the ducal household, trained by men like Duke Leto's Mentat assassin, Thufir Hawat, or his war master, balladeer, Gurney Halleck, or his swordsman extraordinaire, Duncan Idaho. He's not only been trained in those arts, he's also been trained in the arts of his mother's people. The Lady Jessica, who is not a duchess. She's not married to the Duke. But she is the love of his life, and she is the mother of Paul Atreides, and she is also Bene Gesserit. A secret, not so secret, an open society of superpowered super nuns who work their way into various houses, noble houses, the Imperium itself, and perform all sorts of functions. But they have a goal of their own that they don't advertise, which is a breeding program. They are trying to breed a male Bene Gesserit. The Bene Gesserit women, the acolytes who become adepts in the order, do so by going through a ritual that is fueled by the spice that is mined on Dune. It is found nowhere else. It cannot be duplicated in a laboratory. And through that process, Bene Gesserit women gain access to ancestral memories of all the women in their ancestral line. Suddenly they can see the past and learn all the thoughts and memories of their mother, their grandmother, their great-grandmother 10 times removed, in the female line. They have had it. It's a conviction of theirs that it is possible, through subtle manipulation of breeding lines, make sure to match up the right man with the right woman, the right household, the right genetic background. They are convinced that they can produce a man who can do that with male memories. This figure that they are somehow convinced can happen is called, in their mythology, the Kwisatz Haderach. And they are certain that they are close to it. They are certain that this conflation of events, bringing households together in conflict on the planet Dune, will bring about the Kwisatz Haderach. They think they know who it is, and they are not sure. So the point here to remember is that the Lady Jessica has two loyalties. She's loyal to her Duke, but she's also loyal to the Sisterhood. And she is just balancing those two loyalties as best she can. And the first scene that we get in Dune, the novel Dune does not have chapters. It has chapters, but they aren't numbered or named or anything. So the first, we'll call it a chapter, the first scene has a beginning and an end. That's how we're introduced to this story. And the introduction itself, the very first thing we read in the book, is odd to a first-time reader. Because we are getting a work of history. The epitaph to the first section of the book is an excerpt from a book by someone named Princess Irulan, who is talking about someone named Muad'Dib, and talking about the planet Dune. We get that excerpt. We don't quite know what to make. It is a weird feeling, because on the one hand, in the first, we'll call it a chapter, in the first chapter of Dune, we're getting the scramble of House Atreides getting things ready on planet Caladan to move to Dune. And young Paul is all excited. The household is all in a hubbub. It's reached a fever pitch. But on the other hand, the epigraph to the chapter is written far in the future. These are events in the past that the epigraph is describing. It creates a weird kind of displaced feeling in the reader that I think is very healthy. It unsettles the reader's certainties. I think that's very healthy. And in this first chapter, Paul is all excited. And the Lady Jessica comes to him and tells him that he has a visitor. He's going to have a very important visitor. The Emperor's truthsayer, a Bene Gesserit woman named the Reverend Mother. She's a Reverend Mother. She was the teacher and guardian of Jessica herself when Jessica was a youth. And the Reverend Mother is coming to meet Paul, the child that Jessica should not have had. She was ordered by her sisterhood to give Duke Leto a daughter, not a son. But she knew how much having a son meant to him, and she loves him. So she disobeyed the sisterhood, manipulated her body chemistry, as all the sisterhood can do, and produced a son. Paul is that son. And Paul has visions, dreams that he can't explain, dreams of things he's never experienced. There's a terrible feeling growing in him of a terrible purpose. I even have words to describe it. Something feels like it's building in him that has nothing to do with being a teenager or with moving house or with the danger to his family. It's something else, something other than that. Jessica has reported this to the sisterhood. The Reverend Mother has come to test Paul. And in the first chapter of Dune, we see that test, the Gom Jabbar. She meets with Paul. She knows that he's faking that he's asleep, for instance. She commands him with something called the voice. which is a superpower that the Bene Gesserit have, where they get your vocal registers, your personal register, and suddenly they can pitch their voice to command you, physically. To be silent, to move, to not move. It's a startling thing to experience the first time you experience it. It is a talent of the Bene Gesserit that people don't know they have, obviously. You wouldn't want anyone near you who could do that. You could say, drop your weapon. You don't want anyone near you if you know they can do that, so they don't advertise that ability. The Reverend Mother exercises it on Paul, but she wants his willing cooperation in the test of the Gom Jabbar. She holds out a box for him. Seemingly empty box, a dark interior, and she tells him to put his hand inside the box. And when he does, he realizes that she has a poison needle at his throat. That is the Gom Jabbar. That is the literal Gom Jabbar, but the ritual is also called the Gom Jabbar. He puts his hand inside the box and starts to feel warmth, and then heat, and then searing. He is sure that the flesh is burning off his hand. And she tells him, if you pull your hand out of the box, I will kill you. No one can get to you before you die. I want you to control yourself enough so that you don't pull your hand out of the box no matter what. And he does. And when he pulls his hand out of the box, it turns out it was just nerve induction. His hand is not damaged. It just felt like it was burning. But he has passed the test. He is, as the Reverend Mother says, human. She summons Jessica back into the room, and she is relieved. My son has survived. When, as the Reverend Mother says, as she's leaving at the end of this, what we'll call a chapter, plenty of men have tried this and died. If you don't prove yourself to be human, you're not allowed to live. It's an ominous first chapter to a book. It seems off topic, right? When you're reading this and you know the basic premise that I went over in my Dune Primer video, you assume that the whole focus of the early chapters will be the move to Dune. And instead you get this. I don't think it's any coincidence. I think it's a mark of Frank Herbert's talent as a writer that the first thing we learn about is terrible purpose, not spice or a vendetta against the Harkonnens or anything like that. I think it signals very effectively that this is going to be a novel of internal struggles as much as it is anything else. Internal transformation as much as it is anything else. And it firmly situates Paul as the main character of the book. So that is my first video for Dune in June, is to give you a little walkthrough of the first chapter of the first segment of the book. That's what happens, the trial of the Gom Jabbar. And what I would like to do for Dune in June is go through a lot of individual chapters. I don't think I have time in 1 month to go through them all, but go through a lot of them. I thought I'd like to do a proper read-along of this book. If you're interested in that, I'd love to do it. Otherwise, if you're not interested, I'll just do a weekly video. But I'd love to go through it in a lot more detail than that. Just walk you through the book and tell you what I think about it as we go. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. This is mainly just a sort of a bell ringing to let you know that Dune in June has started. Along with a whole bunch of other BookTube events you won't be able to get any discretionary reading in. But anyway, I'll wrap this up for now, and I will see you next time. Thank you, BookTube.